Today is a very auspicious day, Haribasar Tithi, the day most dear to Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, Ekadashi. So we have to observe with great attention, because on this day Krishna is more pleased with our service, so we should serve more. We have to observe fasting for his satisfaction. In Kali Yuga, we may take those things which are not prohibited for Ekadashi. If someone can do dry fast, Nirjal fast, that is best. But if not possible, then he can take water, then milk, fruits, all this which is not prohibited. But we should give up all types of enjoyment, all types of sinful activities, and with all good qualities, means devotion, we have to remain near Krishna, upavas. How? By service. We can serve him if we are also transcendental. But for us in Kali Yuga, the easiest way is to chant his name, because his name and he, they are not different. So with faith we should do, like Mahaprabhu also showed in his own Lila, he made this pastime. From early morning he gathered all the devotees and they started Kirtan. Shri Hari Basare Hari Kirtana Vidhan. Nritya Arambilo Prabhu Jagatero Pran. Punyavanta Shriva Sangane Shubharamba Utilo Kirtana Dvani Gopala Govinda. Hariyo Ram Ram. Hariyo Ram Ram. On that Ekadashi day, the scriptural prescript is to do Hari Kirtan. And therefore Mahaprabhu started dancing. Nitarambilo Prabhu Jagatero Pran. He's the life of the whole world. Where in the sacred courtyard of Srivas Thakur. He's a household devotee, but he's a pure devotee. So that is Dham, sacred place. Before we sang, Jadino Grihe, Bhajana Deki, Grihete Goloka Bhai. In that house where bhajan is going on, actual service of Krishna, that place is Golok, Vrindavan. It will manifest there. When someone understands, Krishna is the owner of house, Krishna is the owner of everyone, all are his eternal servants, I am his eternal servant, and when completely dedicated for the service by proper Sambandha Gyan, then that place is Dham, Vrindavan, Golok Vrindavan. Naham basami Vaikunte Joginam Hridayena cha. Mad Bhakta Jatra Gayanti Tatra Tishtami Narada. Supreme Lord said to Narad, I am not staying in Vaikuntha. I am not staying in the heart of yogis, because they don't want me. They want something else. But where my devotees, pure devotees, they are singing my glories, there I stay, Narad. So that is important, to be in association of devotees, to worship Krishna. So with great care we have to follow this Ekadashi Tithi. Madhava Tithi Bhakti Janani. It is the mother of devotion. It will give birth to devotion. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, Jatane Palana Kori. Very carefully I am observing this day for Krishna's satisfaction. You saw in Bhagavatam, Ambarish Maharaj followed Ekadashi for the satisfaction of Krishna, and the curse of Brahmin, like Durvasa Rishi, could not touch him. He was protected by Sudarshan. You know the history, very powerful. So today also is the so what happened? Nirta, Mahaprabhu started dancing and Kirtan arose. Utilodvani Punyavanta Shiva Sangha Punyavanta Utilo Kirtana Dvani Shuvaramba Punyavanta Shiva Sangha Shuvarani. What Kirtan arose? Gopal Govinda, Nam Kirtan, and Hari or Ram Ram. Hari or Ram Ram. O means and in Bengali. So Hari and Ram. It can mean both Ramchandra, but it is more appropriate to know Hari or Ram means Krishna and Balaram. Hari or Ram. Hari and Ram. That is Gaur Nityananda. Nityananda and Gauranga. Punyavanta Shriva Sangane Shubharamba Utiludani Gopala Govinda. Hari Ram Ram Hari Ram. So today also it is the disappearance day of Devandanda Pandit. He is one of the personal associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In Krishna Lila in Vrindavan, he is Nanda Maharaja's court Pandit, scholar, Bhaguri Muni. He knew all the meaning of all Puranas. They are also hearing Puranas. And he appeared in Gaur Lila to enrich Krishna's pastimes as Gauranga Mahaprabhu, and we should not commit offense to him. What he did was to give us the teaching. Mahaprabhu, in many cases, he taught through his own associates to give us teaching. So he was staying in Koladvip. This is today Navadip city, on another side of Ganga from Mayapur, Navadip city, Koladvip or Kulia. So there Devandanda Pandit was having his house and also school. He was a Brahmin, and very peaceful Brahmin, control over senses, very good sadachar behavior, everything controlled, and he had faith in supreme reality, and he was only reading Srimad Bhagavatam. He was teaching Srimad Bhagavatam, but because he was having desire for liberation, he did not explain Bhagavatam properly. He did not explain that Bhagavatam is actually about devotion. So many students, they were hearing. So one day, Srivas Thakur came to know that Bhagavat Katha is going on. So he's a devotee, he came there to hear, and he heard the verses of Bhagavatam that touched his heart. Bhagavatam is transcendental and is speaking about pure devotion to Krishna that touched his heart, and all the ecstatical symptoms appeared in him, crying, shivering, and choked voice and all this. But the students of Devandanda Pandit, they were like him, logicians and Gyanis, desiring liberation. So they thought this Srivas Pandit is some sentimentalist person. He's disturbing our class here. He's crying loudly, and this disturbance. So they thought he's some low-class sentimentalist. So they threw him out. And Devandanda Pandit was watching them. If in front of Guru, his disciples, they will do something wrong, it is Guru's duty to correct them. If he does not correct them, then he will be guilty of that offense. So it happened here. He got offense against Srivas Thakur. So then one day Mahaprabhu was passing by there and he became very angry. You see this Devandanda Pandit. He's speaking Bhagavatam but he's not explaining properly, and he committed offense to Srivas Pandit, so he has no any qualification to explain Bhagavatam. I will tear his scripture. He's a rascal. Mahaprabhu was very angry. But what happened? Bakreshwar Pandit, he's very dear to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We are hearing his lila. He was dancing all the time for Krishna's satisfaction. He came there to the house of Devandanda Pandit to give mercy to him. So Devandanda Pandit would serve him very nicely as a guest, with proper respect and with devotion and everything. So by this service, and also he heard the glories of Mahaprabhu from Bakreshwar Pandit, then his heart changed. Then he started to believe in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and in devotion to Supreme Lord he got. Then when this happened, his offense was nullified. Then Mahaprabhu came to him and told him, Bhagavatam one can understand only by devotion. So it is your great fortune that now you got by the grace of Bakreshwar Pandit. So you should explain Bhagavatam properly, that it is about pure devotion to Krishna, not for any other target. And there was another one Brahmin there. He asked Mahaprabhu, I committed offenses to Vaishnavas. Knowingly or unknowingly, I spoke bad about them. So how I can be rescued? Then Mahaprabhu told him, like in this world, if you take poison through this mouth, then that will disrupt your body. Disrupt. But if through this same mouth you take nectar, then that will remove the poison inside and give you life. So like that, you use this tongue to vilify, criticize, belittle the devotees. So first you have to stop taking this, doing this, and you have to take nectar of singing the glories of Krishna and Vaishnavas. In songs and everything you have to sing. Then this will act like nectar that will remove that poison of offenses and will give you proper life, means devotion. The best way to displease Krishna is to offend his devotees, and the best way to please him is to serve his devotees. So here Mahaprabhu, generally we know, if someone offends some Vaishnava, then he has to go to that same Vaishnava to beg forgiveness. Then it will be removed. But if Vaishnavas already disappeared, or you don't know, or like Devandanda Pandit, then if you serve Vaishnavas, that Vaishnava Tattva, and you change your mentality towards Vaishnavas, then that offense will also be removed. So here we see in Devandanda Pandit's case, he did not have to go to Srivas Pandit. Only his heart was changed towards the Vaishnavas by the grace of Bakreshwar Pandit. And this Brahmin also, Mahaprabhu only told him, you have to sing the glories of all Vaishnavas in songs. And this, so we are singing Vrindavana Vasi Jota, Vaishnava Erogon. Pratame Bandhu Mui Tar Charan. I am offering my obeisances to all Vaishnavas in Vrindavan, then in Navadip, in Puri, then Navadip, then in all countries, then those who will become Vaishnavas in future, all associates of Mahaprabhu, all. So in this way, if we sing that song sincerely, then we can be rescued from Vaishnava aparat. So Devandanda Pandit gave this teaching to us, through Devananda Pandit. Devananda Pandit received this mercy due to living in Kulia or Koladvip, the place where offenses are forgiven. Gopal Chapal was also forgiven his offenses in Kulia. Gopal Chapal is also one who committed offense to Srivas Thakur. He wanted to enter into Kirtan of Mahaprabhu. But Srivas Thakur said, no, Mahaprabhu does not allow anyone who is not a devotee. Then Gopal Chapal became disturbed. He was a Brahmin, but not devotee, smarta Brahmin. For worldly this, dharma, and not pure devotee. So he became angry. Oh, I am not a devotee, and you are a devotee. Okay, let me see. So then that night, Gopal Chapal put in front of Srivas Thakur's house all the impure articles like meat, wine, red hibiscus flowers, and these things for the worship of Chanti, or Kali, in Tamoguna, so as to show to other people that actually Srivas Thakur, he's saying, I am a devotee, but actually he's a Shakta in Tamagun. So, false accusation he gave. But Srivas Thakur was not disturbed because he is always in the service of Krishna, but Mahaprabhu did not tolerate. So he gave him leprosy and he was suffering so much, and he even came to Mahaprabhu to take shelter and beg for forgiveness. Mahaprabhu said, no, you did a great offense. In millions of births you will have to suffer like this. So much Mahaprabhu was angry. Then later, when Mahaprabhu already took sannyas, and when he came to Kulia, this Koladip, where offenses are forgiven, then again Gopal Chapal came. That time Mahaprabhu gave him the way how he should be rescued from offense. He said, you committed offense to Srivas, you go to him. You beg for forgiveness, he's all merciful, he will forgive you, then you can be rescued. And it happened. So in Kulia, that is very special place. And our Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj also, he established Gauriya Math there, naming it Devandanda Gauriya Math. There. So I'm bowing down to Devandanda Prabhu and praying for his causeless mercy. Today also is the disappearance day of Srila Bhakti Prakas Aranya Goswami Maharaj. He is a disciple of Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur. He was actually illiterate, but he was a pure devotee. He fully surrendered to Prabhupada and he got all knowledge, everything he got. And Prabhupada also ordered him, you have to preach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message. And wherever he went, all thought he's a very learned man. He's double MA, means double master degree in some. They could not understand because such force, Gurudev told, because that is descended knowledge. It is not bookish knowledge. It is descended. It is revealed in his heart. So that is actual knowledge. So he spoke very forcefully and he attracted many jivas to the service of Krishna. He took them to Prabhupada and then after the disappearance of Prabhupada, he was mostly staying in our Chaitanya Gauriya Math, Parangudev's Math in Vrindavan, and sometimes preaching. So also you will find in Srila Bharati Maharaj's book many nice pastimes with him. He was a senior god brother of our Parangurudev, and he was always straightforward in telling everything, but out of compassion, not any other. So Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj also wrote about him in our Chaitanya Vani magazine. So I will read from him. The Shastras state Ante Narayana Smriti, that is from Bhagavatam. In the end, one ought to remember Narayan, means one should remember Narayan at the end of life. Or the purpose of all sadhana and everything is to get remembrance of Narayan. Thus, the fact that Pujapat Sri Bhakti Prakas Aranya Maharaj, while manifesting his disappearance pastime, used his last breath to utter the verse from SRIMAD Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, beginning Tava Katamritam Tapta Jivanam, that verse, you know, the gopis, here it is explained, which was spoken by the gopis when they were overcome with separation from Sri Krishna, illustrates that he was the recipient of the unprecedented mercy of Krishna and his associates. He was on one house program in Bengal, sitting on Vyasasan, and he uttered two verses. One was at the end. Let me find. It was Saphala Ekadasi in the village of Dhalatika near the city in West Bengal. So he was explaining verses Sarva Dharmam Parityaja from Bhagavad Gita and Tavaka Tamrit and Tapta Jivanam. And while saying this, he left his body on Vyasasan. So it is very beautiful. And Srila Bharati Maharaj he wrote, when I heard about his disappearance pastime, I was reminded of a verse quoted in Chaitanya Bhagavat. One verse is here. Anayasena maranam vina danyena jivanam ana aradita govinda charanasya katam bhavet. It is not mentioned from where it is quoted. It is from, how is it possible for one who has never worshipped the lotus feet of Sri Govinda to live comfortably and die in peace? Means, only one who is worshipping Govinda, he is comfortably living in this world without any disturbance, and in peace he will die. But all others, they are always disturbed in this world, and also great disturbance when they have to die. Shripad Aranya Maharaj, a divine personality infused with the potency of his most worshipful Sri Guru Padma, was one of the principal champions, a living mridanga, so to speak, in Srila Prabhupada's Sri Chaitanya Vani Sankirtanyagya, the ceremonial and congregational propagation of Sri Chaitanya's divine message. Although he did not receive much in the way of formal education, he has become immortalized in the esteem of learned society, for until the last moment of his life, he helped revive the purest form of knowledge through his dauntless conviction in Sri Krishna Kirtan, which gives life to its bright spiritual enlightenment, that is Vidya Badu Jivanam. Sri Krishna Sankirtan gives life to its bright spiritual enlightenment, or Paravidya. Even highly educated and authoritative graduates, teachers, and administrators were mesmerized by his unprecedented and specialized explanations of pure devotion, which is devoid of all pursuits of erudition, that is scholarship, and fruitive action, means jnana and karma. As a result of hearing his Bhagavat Katha, many persons, whether rich, aristocratic, noble, and highly intellectual, or ordinary, destitute, and uneducated, attained the rare fortune of taking shelter of Srila Prabhupada's most worshipful lotus feet. So he was preaching and he brought them to Prabhupada. He was also a recipient of Srila Prabhupada's supreme grace for his tremendous assistance in collecting funds on behalf of Srila Prabhupada for accentuating the magnificence of Sri Dham, Mayapur, the maintenance of mats and temples, and facilitating the printing of many books and magazines. So also collecting funds. His Harikatha, which teamed with the terminology used by Srila Prabhupada, stunned and delighted those who had taken shelter of pure devotion. He was a fearless and impartial speaker when it came to refuting non-devotional notions and establishing the conclusive truths of pure bhakti. Verily, he was a blazing, deadly sun to all darkness that attempted to obscure the true conception of Shuddha Bhakti. Additionally, he astonished all by his unparalleled powers of memory, which he gloriously retained right up to his final moments. Originally, his home was in a village called Gangaramapur in the district of Jashohara, West Bengal. He was a householder at the time he became attracted by Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the founder of the Sri Gauriya Math institution. In a short time, he renounced his householder life in an act of exemplary conduct that is echoed in SRIMAD Bhagavatam's description of Jora Bharat. That is, means King Bharat, Bharat Maharaj. When he renounced his kingdom and everything, then in next life he became there, and in third life he became Jora Bharat. So when he was King Bharat, this verse is there. Yo dushtya jan dara sutan suhrit rajyam hridis prisha jaho yuveiva malavat uttama shloka lalasa. Although he was in his youth, he gave up all that is difficult to renounce: his wife, children, friends, kingdom, and everything else dear to him, as if it were stool. For he longed to perform bhajan of Sri Bhagavan, who is glorified by the choicest of humans. Because he understood actual relation is with Bhagavan, that is eternal relation. These relations are all non-eternal. And if they are not devotees, then there is no benefit in remaining there. He left and he went to worship Bhagavan. Because all those relations, they are temporary. And one should not waste time and energy. We actually belong to Krishna. We have to serve him and serve all in relation to him, not separately. Then we will miss the target of this human life. Pujyapat Maharaj displayed genuine camaraderie, that is, I think, friendship, and constant goodwill toward not only Srila Prabhupada's disciples and grand disciples, but also those who found Srila Prabhupada's teachings and conduct to be favorable and supporters. Today, having lost such a bosom friend and an ideal Vaishnava, we are all deeply afflicted. Our prayer is that while he is forever absorbed in the service of his eternally cherished Sri Guru Padma, may he bless us to attain the unique services for which we yearn. This was written by Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj. So I am bowing down to Srila Bhakti Prakas Aranya Goswami Maharaj and praying his causeless mercy. Also today is the disappearance day of one god brother of our Gurudev. His name is Mathuraprasad, that's Babaji Maharaj. Before, he is a disciple of Srila Bhaktivedanta Madhav Goswami Maharaj. He was staying in our Vrindavan mat as a pujari for like 40 years or 50 years, means a very long time. He was all the time as a pujari. I also saw him in 99 when we were in Vrindavan Parikrama. That time I saw him on the altar doing arati and everything in saffron cloth, but very old. Then later he took Babaji Besh from our Gurudev, became Mathuraprasad Das Babaji, and sometimes he used to travel after that with Gurudev some preaching programs. So mostly we saw him also in Batinda Kartik 2004. That time also I had some personal contact with him. And I heard Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, he told about him that his Archan Siddha, means his Archan is perfect. He got perfection in Archan. Like Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj was also called as Nam Siddha. Chanting is perfect, means they get the perfection in that service. So he got through Archan, became perfect. His Archan was perfect. So although when he was Babaji, because old, then difficult to do, but I saw him in our Batinda mat during Kartik. At that Shayan Arati, he was standing there on below the temple when Shayan Arati was going on, or just after that Pujari finished. Then he would offer some small lamp, some incense like this, in small way he used to do even at that time. So on today's day, he entered into Nitya Lila, so we are observing that anniversary. I am remembering Babaji Maharaj, very affectionate mood. Although I don't know if he spoke any English, but whenever I gave Dandavat, his mood was always very affectionate and encouraging. Yes, you go on, very good, like this. So I'm remembering Babaji Maharaj and praying his causeless mercy. And we are reading SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM. Yesterday we heard how Vyasadeva, after Narad Goswami instructed him and left, then Vyasadeva also did bhajan. He meditated on those instructions of Vyasadeva and those 4 shlokas he gave him. Then he, by that bhakti yoga, he entered into natural samadhi, devotional samadhi. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained there are two types of samadhi. One is natural, another is artificial. That is, Gyanis, they get that. Artificial, because their samadhi depends on negation of matter. Vikalpa and nirvikalpa. With vikalpa, with alternative or without. So, in order to meditate on Brahman, it is dependent on that you negate all material things, and just the opposite of that is Brahman. So that is necessary. But natural samadhi is without this. You just perceive the truth as he is, and because it is natural for jiva to have devotion to Krishna, that is why that samadhi also is called as natural, and it is easy. So he got that samadhi, and in that samadhi, transcendental vision or realization, when fully absorbed without any tinge of materialism, here Sai Maharaj explained, pure transcendental realization, he thus saw the absolute personality of Godhead along with his external energy, which was under full control. As I told yesterday, Jiva Goswami, at length he explained about this samadhi of Vyasadeva in Tattva Sandarbha to show that devotion is ultimate, or Supreme Personality is ultimate reality, not impersonal Brahman, because they are explaining Upanishads and Vedanta Sutra in a wrong way. And they're telling Vyasadeva wrote this, but it is not correct. Vyasadeva showed here what is the purpose of Vedanta and also Bhagavatam. It is this Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojana. So he saw in his samadhi Krishna, and that implies also his internal potency. Jiva Goswami explained, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also explained. And he saw Maya, but Maya was behind and under control. And he also saw Jiva, we heard yesterday that verse. Jiva is also eternal tattva. It is not same, Brahman and Jiva is same. That is not correct. And Brahman under influence of Maya is Jiva. That is not correct. Here everything is refuted by reality. So he saw Jiva is under the influence of Maya, although transcendental, but under the influence of Maya because of aversion to Krishna. And the only way how she can be rescued is by devotion to Krishna. So this is complete Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojana is shown here. So one who realized this, not only heard and theoretically understood, but one who realized this and is actually fully engaged in the service of Krishna himself, such a person can serve as Guru. He himself must have this realization and be fully engaged in the service of Krishna. So here, I will read the commentary by Srila Sai Maharaj. Perfect vision of the absolute truth is possible only by the linking process of devotional service, Bhakti Yoga. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. One can perfectly realize the absolute truth, personality of Godhead, only by the process of devotional service, and one can enter into the kingdom of God by such perfect knowledge. Imperfect realization of the absolute by the partial approach of the impersonal Brahman or localized Paramatma does not permit anyone to enter into the kingdom of God. You need devotion to realize and to enter there. Sri Narad advised Srila Vyasadeva to become absorbed in transcendental meditation on the personality of Godhead and his activities. Srila Vyasadeva did not take notice of the effulgence of Brahman because that is not absolute vision. The absolute vision is the personality of Godhead, and it is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Vasudeva Sarvam Iti. In the Upanishads also, it is confirmed that Vasudeva, the personality of Godhead, is covered by the golden, glowing Hiranmayena Patrena veil of impersonal Brahman that you will find in Ishopanishad. And when that curtain is removed by the mercy of the Lord, the real face of the Absolute is seen. So that Jyoti exists, but it is light coming out from the transcendental form of Krishna. So some are seeing only this light, but devotees, they can see also from whom it is coming. The Absolute is mentioned here as the Purusha or person. The absolute personality of Godhead is mentioned in so many Vedic literatures, and in the Bhagavad Gita, the Purusha is confirmed as the eternal and original person. The absolute personality of Godhead is the perfect person. The Supreme Person has manifold energies, out of which the internal, external, and marginal energies are specifically important. He has unlimited energies, but these are important for us. The energy mentioned here is the external energy, as will be clear from the statements of her activities. The internal energy is there along with the absolute person, as the moonlight is there with the moon. This Jiva Goswami he explained in this way, that although internal energy is not mentioned, but it is implied, like moon and moonshine is also there automatically. But that Mahamaya is mentioned separately because it is important to know that Absolute is not covered by Maya as Mayavadis wrongly think. She is always under full control of the Absolute Person. The external energy is compared to darkness because it keeps the living entities in the darkness of ignorance. The word apashrayam suggests that this energy of the Lord is under full control. The internal potency or superior energy is also called Maya, but it is spiritual Maya, or energy exhibited in the absolute realm, or another name is Yoga Maya, we heard. When one is under the shelter of this internal potency, the darkness of material ignorance is at once dissipated. When we take shelter of internal potency, we are marginal, we take shelter, then we can be rescued from Maya. If we don't take shelter, then she will catch. And even those who are Atmarama, or fixed in trance, take shelter of this Maya, or internal energy. We heard about the explanation of that verse. Even those who are beyond this Mahamaya, they are getting the transcendental bliss of their own self, they also become attracted to Krishna through Yogamaya, like Shukadeva Goswami. Devotional service or Bhakti Yoga is the function of the internal energy. Thus, there is no place for the inferior energy or material energy just as there is no place for darkness in the effulgence of spiritual light. Such internal energy is even superior to the spiritual bliss attainable in the conception of impersonal Brahman. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that the impersonal Brahman effulgence is also an emanation from the Absolute Personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. The Param Purush cannot be anyone except Shri Krishna himself, as will be explained in the later shlokas. So tomorrow also there are some Vaishnavas, we will hear their glories, and we will read this second verse also and further in what Vyasadeva saw in his Samadhi, and we also have to see this. Then we can get what we require.